Wow, I don't even know what to say at this point, guys. Someone needs to alert the local fire departments in Denmark because I don't know if you guys saw or not, but there was nothing but flames coming out of the Royal Arena today as we saw the semifinals play out in the PGL Major. We are set up for our final matchup tomorrow, Faze versus Navi, a best of 3 to see who is going to raise the trophy. But how did we get there? We had two titanic matchups, Faze taking on Vitality and G2 taking on Navi. Sparks were flying left and right. New superstars established themselves on the world stage, and dreams were unfortunately crushed. Airplane tickets were booked, and we had to say goodbye to some legends. So if you missed the action live, this is the #1 place to get your major recaps. So before we get started, take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm and helps me on my journey to reaching 1,000 subscribers as fast as possible. And while you're down there, consider becoming a member of the channel. For $5 a month, you can support me directly in what I do here, gain access to exclusive emblems and emotes, as well as a shout out at the end of every video, with more features coming soon. And lastly, consider checking me out on Twitch. I stream Sunday through Friday, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come check me out, come laugh at my silver pick'ems coin, and other than that, let's get right into the action. Alright, we kicked things off this morning with Vitality versus the Faze clan, and going into this, I think the narrative for this match is that even when they were down, Faze clan felt very much in control of this series. There was nothing that Vitality could throw at this team to shake their confidence, truly break them, and time after time, Faze clan would be pushed against the ropes and would calmly strike back and take back the advantage. It was mesmerizing watching Karrigan call throughout this series. It felt like he was a wizard, just manifesting whatever he needed onto the board, while this elite setup of talent around him continued to be clutch and unshakable in the moments that Karrigan had to call upon them. For Vitality, I think it has to be said, the question mark of this tournament and the question mark for this team is what has happened to ZywOo. He had the excuse in the initial rounds of being sick, but when it came down to it and the light shone most, we saw maybe a glimpse or two of the ZywOo who was #1 in the world, but right now, he is far from that form that put him into the GOAT conversation with Simple, justifiably. I mean, there's no way around it. An Opper of his quality, of his station, should not be putting up 8 kills on Nuke. This is an Opper's paradise. You should be getting yours in spades on a map like this. And Brokey, who even for himself has a pedestrian performance, still outdoes you by 5 kills with 13 of his own. It really showed how lost Vitality can be without ZywOo, where on the CT side of Nuke, you're only able to take 3 rounds. Meanwhile, Faze was firing on all cylinders. Rain woke up for his usual one monster performance due for every major that he just always does. Meanwhile, Frozen right behind him with 15, Drops with 17 kills, clutches out the ass. Karrigan taking duels, taking swings, being the first man in as the in-game leader. And this was true peak performance out of Faze. This was classic Faze. The type that will just run you over on their T-sides, leave you no room to do anything, win every 1v2, and just keep you on the back foot the entire time. And in point of fact, both halves end with Faze winning 1vx situations, winning in the clutch. We start off on the first half. It's 3-8. Vitality are desperately looking for some momentum going into the second half. And after weathering the outside push and allowing Faze to take downstairs control and get the plant down, Vitality find themselves in a 2v2. Rain is isolated in mini away from the bomb site. It's just Brokey in control to defend the bomb. This is a situation where Vitality have the advantage and they should be winning. They move down the vent together. Rain does hear it, so Rain is chasing after them. But in the meantime, they're able to take out Brokey and gain control of the site. At that point, they just need to get the defuse, get the 1v2, and win the round. But Rain is just here to clutch. This is what he does when he's playing so good. He slips down the vent, gets to decon, manages to get the bomb carrier down into the defuse, and then now it's just a 1v1, and Rain is just in his bag. He's playing just so much better than Vitality is in this game that he gets the 1v2. This should never happen. We then swap over to the other half. It's now 7-12. Vitality are trying to stay in the game and try and force an overtime. It's a 2v2, 50 seconds left. You're on the T side, you have A side control, but the bomb is not done yet. You know where Karrigan is because you just killed the planter. And now, again, you have 2 split 1v1s. You don't know where the other Faze player is at this point. You know where Karrigan is, and you have to get the bomb down. Apex takes a swing into Hut, takes out Karrigan, gets the bomb down. Now it's a 1v2. Rob's moving into mini trying to win the clutch. He spots out Apex behind Silo, gets the pick, comes down to a 1v1. ZywOo is tucked behind the boxes in front of HUD, the perfect position for Robs to cross pass him towards the bomb and get the easy kill. But this is just really weird from ZywOo. He gets cold feet. He takes the peek when he doesn't have to. All he has to do is play time. The bomb is on his side. Robs has to push to him. Robs doesn't have time to go through HUD and lobby and try and wrap around. He has to push from mini to the bomb site. But ZywOo, he tries to get ahead of it, he takes a bad peek, and he loses to Robs in the 1v1 and gives them the game. And that inability to clutch will come back to bite Vitality in a big way later on in the series. But for now, we move on to the next map, where once again, Faze have floated Vertigo, and Vitality have decided to pick it into them. And listen, to be fair, I've been pretty negative towards Vitality to open up, but they did what they needed to do on Vertigo. They made Faze look silly. And I think Faze, and specifically Karrigan, I think they bought into their own hype a little bit too much here because of how successful the Vertigo pick was into Spirit the other day. I think in reality, Faze just aren't practiced enough, especially in competition on this map, to be floating it in such a series like this. The playbook didn't look deep enough, the CT side didn't look strong enough, and then on top of that, the strong group play, the great individual stats went missing for this map. It really felt like Frozen, the newest edition, was the only player getting anything done. Rops, Rain, and Brokey were just kind of pedestrian by comparison. Meanwhile, fair play to ZywOo, arguably his best individual map in these playoffs. 14 kills, a 1.48 rating, got the job done. Mezzy right there with him with 17, and frankly, this was just kind of an easy win for Vitality. It would frankly be embarrassing if he went up 11-1 on your T-side half only to lose the game, right? So anyways, we're moving on to Inferno, the great decider, the third map, and what do we get? What honestly feels like a misleading scoreline. You look at 13-8 and you're like, yeah, well, I mean, it was a pretty close game. There's probably a couple rounds that made the difference and why Faze was able to bring it out. But actually watching the game, it felt like Faze were firmly in control. And once we got deep into the first half of play, it felt like Vitality were more of a non-factor than anything else. Vitality jumps out to a 3-0 lead, and then the insane clutch factor out of Faze really starts to kick in. On round 4, it looks like Apex is about to destroy the Faze momentum. He dives through the smoke into B, gets 2 players, nearly a third on the spray down, but there's Frozen, who just dove behind him, gets Apex, and then converts 2 more, and then gets the final kill for an insane 4K to bring back a 4v2 situation into a Faze round win and get them on the board 3-1. Faze would then run off the next 4 rounds, including another epic clutch, where look like Mezzy will once again gonna break the momentum of Faze. He gets 3 kills, he hops on the bomb in the smoke, and Karrigan, the Mega Mind, finds him in the smoke to secure the round. And there's just so many rounds where it felt like Faze were just throwing 10-ton steel bricks onto the back of Vitality. You have Frozen getting an insane 3 kill on the forward B defense to basically secure an 11th round. And then the very next round, Robs backs it up with his own triple kill with the M4 to secure a match point, and then the game ends when Rain has an insane double kill with the M4A1S on bomb site B that secures the match. Faze's ability to score multi-kills up and down the scoreboard is their most defining feature, and they're firing on all cylinders today, and that's why they were able to beat Vitality comfortably in 3 maps, advance to the finals. Karrigan once again contending for a major. You'll love to see it. And as if that first series wasn't exciting enough, we had another banger on the back end. Navi vs G2 delivered in every way we could have possibly expected, and more, and was arguably one of the best series of the entire tournament. So again, if you missed either of these series, go back and watch it because the finals tomorrow between Navi and Faze are really going to set off the fireworks. But how did we get there? Well, firstly, I want to dedicate an entire chunk of this commentary specifically to m0NESY, who top frags this series going 65-42 with a 1.47 rating, nearly 100 ADR, all while being the primary opper on this team. If m0NESY even delivers like 10% less than he gave, this is no question a Navi 2-0. He kept them in this series, he was the reason they were winning the games they won, and he was definitely not the reason they ended up losing. I think it's pretty straightforward right now. When it comes to who's the best in the world, it's m0NESY or it's Donk. And honestly, I would give the edge to m0NESY right now considering this major form. He exits the major, by the way, as the #1 rated player, above Donk, with a 1.37 rating over 14 maps. To put that in perspective, Donk had a 1.35 in 8th. and obviously your rating goes down the more maps you play, which means that even in a smaller sample size, m0NESY was absolutely shitting on everybody in the server when he was playing. What a monster. As for the rest of G2, listen, I think Nico was up and down. He definitely wasn't the superstar that we expected out of him. Hunter played good on the last map, and Nexa was good and consistent throughout all three. I think HooXi needs to take most of the blame for this loss. Some of his mid-round calling was just not good. His calling in the clutch left a lot to be desired, and when you look at the veto, I think they left way too much open for Navi in it. Admittedly, there's a lot of overlap in this map pool, but I think you should have been more willing to put Vertigo out there, especially over something like Anubis, which Navi have recently been very dominant on. I think had you taken this to Vertigo, Nuke, and Ancient, G2 have a lot better of a chance of winning this series. And when it came down to crunch time, it felt like if m0NESY was not clutching his ass off, there was no good strats being run to win some of these must-win rounds for G2. Just look ahead to the final round of Ancient, where G2 are making an ill-advised B push on the CT side with no intel, which just opens up the round for Navi, gives them an immediate 5v3 with the bomb plant, and leaves no room at all for G2 to mount a clutch comeback and push it to overtime. What is the calling there in that moment? Why are you playing that risky in a must-win round? It just makes no sense. But let's back it up and go map by map. We open up on Anubis, and this was an overtime barn burner, where G2 I think opened up looking really sloppy on the CT side. Navi ran out the first 5 straight, let go 4 to G2 admittedly, but they still calmly closed out the half 8-4, and then won the pistol round to start off the second half, which looked like Navi were just going to run away with the game. Which, fair play to them, wonderful, JL playing amazing, Aleksib calling great strats on the T side, but Anubis is gonna Anubis, and G2 got into that T side and didn't look back. m0NESY opping like a maniac up and down the server, opening up rounds, closing rounds when he needed to. If a handful of clutches went G2's way late in the second half, I think G2 easily could have won this first map, but they didn't. They allowed Navi to get in a position to get a match point. They calmly won the next 2 to push it to overtime, but in the overtime, Navi's CT side was dominant. They did what they needed to do. They won all 3 rounds in their opening overtime half, and when you only need one of the next 3, you're going to take those odds on T-side Anubis, and sure enough, Navi calmly win the map 16-13. We head next to Nuke, and going into this, I really thought Navi were in position to 2-0 this series. Navi had already beaten G2 soundly, very, very soundly on Nuke earlier in this tournament, made him look silly, and going into this, I knew that Nico wasn't playing his best form. He wasn't going to be that dominant outside force we've seen before, but I was proven wrong. They win this map 13-7 off the backs of an impressive performance from both m0NESY and Nico. Nico played one of his best maps of the tournament. He showed why he's one of the best outside players to ever play the game. On CT side, Nico showed that great individual intuition and genius to just work around whatever Navi were throwing at them. His ability to work through the smokes, around them, get down to secret, not allow players into mini or into big garage. It cut up Navi's strat book to pieces and gave them no room to get anything going, and that was the difference maker. Especially when you have m0NESY right behind you, turning into Jesus before our very eyes with the AWP in his hand. And for Navi, on top of the strat book going missing, you had Wonderful going missing. Wonderful, only 8 kills for the map, a total underperformance. Imma getting exposed everywhere he went. JL and Aleksib and Bit, they played great, but it wasn't enough to combat what G2 were doing, so we moved to a third map. And what better place for these teams to fight it out for a spot in the finals than Ancient. Ancient quickly becoming one of the most entertaining maps in the pool in my opinion. And here, the story for Navi was JL turning into a superstar in front of our very eyes. He was ridiculous in this map with 28 kills, a 1.88 rating, 120 ADR, with a +7 opening kill differential. He was all over the place on both sides of the map. And at first, you get a little worried if you're Navi. You have m0NESY doing 360s with the dualies, jumping through smokes with tasers, throwing the AWP around like it's a shotgun, just looking like he's literally in the zone and nobody can stop him. But for every bit as brilliant as m0NESY has been in this series, JL would strike back, and in this case he struck back harder, no more so than the 4th round, CT side, JL with a deagle in his hand, looking like shades of old Nico, just letting that baby fly. 3 kills with the deagle, 2 headshots, pushes forward, grabs the AK, he wants more, takes the final 2 kills, and ace on an eco round, stopping all of G2's momentum, turning into 7 straight rounds and 8 rounds to close the half after G2 looked firmly in control at the start on their T side. And then we swap sides. Navi, on the more dominant T-sided nature of an Ancient, look like they're in firm control to just knock G2 out right away, especially when they take 3 of the 4 rounds to open up the half. It's 11-5. G2 need to put up or shut up or get ready to go home, and what do? They calmly take 6 of the next 7 rounds. And they did off the backs of immaculate individual performances from m0NESY, NiKo, and even Hunter. m0NESY looking insane on the B side with the AWP in his hands. And G2, they do it. They bring it back. It's 12-11. They're down to the very last round. They just need to win one more gun round. Navi have invested everything in this. It's put up or shut up, win or go home for both teams, because we know overtimes could be so backbreaking. And like I already alluded to at the beginning of this segment, this is where I think they made their worst call of the entire tournament. We open up the round. It looks like Navi want to do a delayed B hit, and for some reason, G2 goes fishing for intel, pushing down B ramp into T territory off of no intel and with no nades to back them up. They get found out and go down to a 5-3 advantage early, which leaves no room, even for as brilliant as m0NESY has played, to bring the round back. G2 throw away the final round. Navi wins it 13-11 and advances to the finals. Aleksib continues his streak of being 6-0 against a G2 team that also turned his back on him, and being undefeated against teams he used to play for since he's left them. And with that, the stage is set to conclude CS2's first major. Faze Clan, led by, in my opinion, the best in-game leader in the history of Counter-Strike, Karrigan, versus someone who should be more respected as one of the best in-game leaders of the modern game in Aleksib and Navi. The question is, who is going to win this? These teams, they match up very well. I think a key difference is that Wonderful is definitely a better operator than Brokey, but pound for pound in terms of firepower, I give the rifling over to Faze. In terms of strats, I think Karrigan and Aleksib call a very similar game, and that means we're going to see fireworks, especially in the veto and when it comes to the mid-round calling when things get scrappy. But in my opinion, I think the difference maker is Karrigan's pedigree and the ability to rise to the moment on the biggest stage. Karrigan's got one of the strongest nerves of any player I've ever seen play Counter-Strike. And if we get good performances out of players like Rain and Robs, I don't think Navi are going to be able to stomach that. I would take Faze to win this in 3 maps. But make no mistake, Navi have a very real shot of winning this finals tomorrow, and truly, it'll be one of the best major finals we've seen in a long time if both teams show up to the level we've seen so far. Good luck to them both, and I look forward to covering it tomorrow. Make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to get more major coverage coming your way. I can't believe we're already at the finals. It feels like this major has flown by, but it's been so exciting to cover it along the way. Shout out to my channel members, Furley, Jesse, and Justin, my brothers. Thank you guys so much. I couldn't be able to do it without you guys. Check the link in the description down below to become a channel member today. For $5 a month, you can support me directly, gain access to exclusive emblems, emotes, and as a shadow at the end of the video, as well as more stuff coming soon. But other than that, I'm out. I'm gonna go get some rest. You guys have a great night. I'll see you later. Peace.